Hello and welcome to this video explaining how to set up Dolby Atmos for your audio projects. Dolby Atmos is a revolutionary technology taking the sound experience to new heights, allowing for total listener immersion through three-dimensional sound. You can position any sound or instrument at any point around you, create impossible panning movements, and craft new and surprising atmospheres. First thing is to make sure your speakers are properly connected. Depending on the Dolby Atmos setup you will install, you can have various configurations. I have a 714 setup installed. This means I have a total of 12 speakers, 7 on the horizontal plane, 1 subwoofer or LFE, and 4 speakers installed on the ceiling. All the speakers will be connected to the independent line outputs of our interface, which in my case is the Galaxy 64, but it could be any other interface with a minimum of 12 independent outputs. We are to install and configure the software to make everything work. Ensure your DAW, like Logic Pro, Pro Tools, or any other, is up to date to ensure compatibility with Dolby Atmos. It is also crucial that the audio interface is fully updated and configured with the latest drivers and software to take advantage of the available improvements. If we have Pro Tools 2023-12 or later, we won't need to install the Dolby Atmos renderer if we don't want to, as Pro Tools comes with its own built-in renderer, although with certain limitations. Once installed, open the Dolby Atmos renderer software and configure it to match your room setup and to communicate correctly with your DAW. Let's go directly to the preferences and set our audio driver, which will be Core Audio. The input device will be Dolby Audio Bridge and the output device will be our interface, which in my case is the Galaxy 64. Next, we go to the Setup tab, click on the first option, Room Setup. Within Room Setup, we go to Monitoring. We select our setup, in this case 7.1.4, and then we go to the Routing tab, where we will select which output of our interface corresponds to each speaker. I recommend that you connect the speakers to the default outputs to avoid confusion and more complex internal configurations. Click OK, and you're done. We open Pro Tools. We create a new session. I recommend that you create it from a Dolby Atmos compatible template to make routing easier. The next thing we are going to do is establish proper communication with our Dolby Atmos renderer. To do this, we make sure that the playback engine is Dolby Audio Bridge. Next, we will go to the Input and Output tab and click on the Dolby Atmos section, where we will find a small drop-down to choose whether we want to work with the internal or external renderer. In this case, we choose the external renderer and enable the checkbox. What is the difference between bed and objects? I will try to explain it as best as possible. The bed is a set of channels that includes multi-channel panning and does not require dedicated panning through Dolby Atmos metadata. The bed has fixed positions in space that are strictly limited to the traditional speaker environment. In Dolby Atmos, the largest possible bed configuration is 7.1.2. In contrast, an object can be individually positioned at any point in space thanks to metadata that stores the position so it can be reproduced in the same way regardless of the configuration of the environment where it is played. That is, the position and panning of a specific object is reproduced on a 7.1.4 system and on a 9.1.6 system, for example. Additionally, we can give each object an independent setting for its binaural playback, while the bed will have the same binaural settings for all the elements that pass through it. Let's do a test to make sure everything is set up correctly. To do this, we open a mono auxiliary track and load a signal generator with pink noise, and we will route the output to the bed. I open the surround panel and go to the Dolby renderer to check that the signal goes to the correct channels when I move it around the bed environment. Now we will transform the auxiliary track into an object. To do this, assign it a free object and activate it in the orange tab below. We return to our renderer and see how the objects are represented as small spheres in the virtual room. And of course, we also see the signal in the VU meters. It is very important to mention that to work in Dolby Atmos, you need to follow a series of calibration standards set by Dolby, which we can achieve thanks to powerful tools built into Antelope audio interfaces, as well as the ability to save your different system configurations and easily retrieve them in the future in a quick and simple way. But we will discuss this in more detail in an upcoming video. Thank you much for your attention. See you in future videos.